All right, live stream is up. I want you opening up your RPG projects now, everybody. RPG projects is what we're doing. So let's do a little review while you look at the live stream too. Everybody have live stream open. Let's do a little review on what we're doing, what the lesson is, and what we did yesterday. Okay. We're doing something called an RPG, role-playing game. What does that mean? A role-playing game, at least in my own definition, which is kind of more an open world RPG, is really the ultimate simulation game. It's a game where you play a character and you can go anywhere and do just about anything, kind of like in real life. It's a simulation of real life. Or if in real life, you play a character yourself, and you can go anywhere in any order that you want, right? There's nothing stopping you from leaving this room and climbing that mountain over there, right? You probably won't do it, but you might do it. You might get bitten by a rattlesnake, and then you end up in a hospital. And then it's like, whoa, what an adventure, what a crazy quest this game has given me. I think the main distinguisher between open world RPGs and most other games is it's non-linear. Most games are linear, right? You start on level 1, you beat level 1, you get to the end of it, maybe you fight the big boss at the end, and then you're on level 2. You do the same thing for level 2, maybe it's a little harder, then you get to level 3. It's very linear. Real life isn't linear like that. Anything can happen. And that's the same with an RPG. So an RPG also has this whole interact with anything kind of environment. There's two main categories you can distinguish that into. There are the people you can interact with, and then there are the inanimate objects, right? I'm collecting apples and seeds and ingredients and making potions out of them and stuff, right? The whole interaction with the inanimate world. What we started yesterday was the beginnings of an RPG template that you can use for any sort of theme that you want in your own game. So I'm not going to tell you that your RPG has to be fantasy, it has to be sci-fi, it has to be historical, or some other setting. You get to decide that. What we are going to do is learn coding by coding the fundamental aspects of an RPG. So you have an RPG at the end of it. Yeah?
So you're saying I can make an NPC where I can make an RPG where you roll like a pharaoh?
No, that's already taken. I think it's taken. That, we do that one. Okay, so let's do a review. By the way, everybody have live stream open? You got my screen open? Raise your hand if you have a live stream. Okay, so it's definitely up. Okay, make sure you refresh the page. Sometimes you just search. Instead of going on my channel, search .word games, and it shows up in the search results. Search .word games, and then it shows up in the search results.
Refresh it, look at the video results.
So you get all these notifications. Hit that bell up. I know, search it. Oh, not what you're using there. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, review of what we did yesterday. We made a role-playing game template. We started by taking a third-person character, right-clicking, and duplicating that. We made the duplicate named NPC. Okay, those are our non-player characters. We opened up the NPC blueprint, and we added a couple changes to it. First change we did is we took the camera of our NPC, and we turned it around so it was facing him, facing a close-up on his face. Okay, we're going to use that today. Also, turn down the audio if you can, so it doesn't pick up on the live stream that we're doing now. We did that with the camera. The other thing we did that was a big change is we added a sphere to the guy. A big sphere, about 5 or 6 feet, extended in front of the player. What that is a sphere collision that has 2 primary events that we're using. One called begin overlap, one called end overlap. Things can overlap this sphere, and we can sense what's overlapping the sphere. What we're doing with that sphere and with its overlaps is detecting if the third-person character is ever in it. Okay, so there's a big bubble in front of the NPC. The third-person character ends up in that bubble. What we do is we tell the third-person character, hey, your variable that we made, called currently highlighted NPC, should now be set to this NPC, the one you just overlapped. That way, as a player character, in a room full of NPCs, full of people, if I come over here, boom, I have, you are my NPC. And as soon as I leave your bubble, we clear the variable and come over here, and boom, now Vanessa's my NPC. Okay? Hi Vanessa, you're my NPC. Now, when I leave the bubble, current highlighted NPC gets set to nothing until again I go to other people. Really important to be able to access that blueprint, another blueprint, so you can access all of its details, including the information you need to NPC, which we made one. We made something called NPC name, a variable yesterday. And that NPC has this variable, text variable called NPC name, that is public, aka you press the little eyeball icon in the variables tab, open it up, so that when you click on an NPC in your world, you see in the details panel that variable and you can change it. And so you have 3 NPCs in your world, and all of them have different names. That is where we left off. Today, let's start by opening up the NPC blueprints. Open up your NPC's blueprints. You can do that by finding your NPC in the world, clicking him, and in the details panel, choosing Edit Blueprint, Open Blueprint Editor. Make sure the NPC's blueprint open. With the NPC blueprint open, let's take a look at the code, specifically the on-begin overlap code. We're going to continue writing our code off of this on-begin overlap code. So the last thing we did on begin overlap is this print string node. The next thing we're going to do, and everybody do this with me, right click and look up get player controller. Once you've got get player controller, drag off return value of get player controller and look up set view and choose set view target with blend. Set view target with blend node is a node for transporting the camera that one camera into another. So you can move the camera view and allows you to blend between the two so that the camera you started in moves through space and it smoothly ends up where the intended target camera is, which is exactly what we're going to do. When we enter a dialogue, we're going to zoom in close on the NPC. And then when we leave dialogue, we'll zoom back out and we'll be back on the player's normal camera. Okay. Set view target with blend. All right, for new view target, that's the new camera, the new location that we're supposed to be going. In this case, we want the new view target to be the NPC, right? The NPC, well, where are we coding this? On the NPC. So we want the player character's camera to become the camera that's already on this blueprint itself. So drag off new view target and type in self. Because the new view target for our character is going to be this NPC, the one he just overlapped. So this one he must have overlapped because we're doing the overlap code. That's the one it's becoming. Okay. Once you plugged in self to new view target, drag a wire from print string into the front of set view target with blend. Also, that blend time setting, this controls how fast it takes, how long it takes for one camera to switch positions. Let's set that to 0.5. So set blend time to 0.5. That's half of a second. So it takes half a second to go from my camera as a third-person character to be that forward close-up camera on the NPC. All right, hit play and test that out. Go up to an NPC, and boom, goes right up to the guy you're having dialogue with. Make sure you have the same code as mine. So if you have a live stream open, you do it that way. By the way, if you haven't figured this out yet, this is really helpful. Have half the screen of the Mac be the live stream and the other half be Unreal. And then you don't have to switch back and forth.
I just need to make the code.
Okay, that's our next problem. Is yes, when you go into the sphere, it blends your camera over, but you never get your camera back, no matter how much you move. So now what we're going to do is code this again on the end overlap so that we get our camera back. So let's do that now. We're back on our code. We're now going to continue code off of the on component end overlap. That means you're leaving the sphere. And you're going to start by right-clicking, get player controller, just like before. Drag off player controller, set view target with blend. Now for the new view target, we need that to be our third person character, our player character. So underneath get player controller, somewhere on the graph, right click and do get player character. Okay, get player character. A little different. Get player character. Now that you have the get player character, drag off that and cast to third person character. So third person character, boom, get the cast node. All right, let's plug in the sideways triangle. So let's plug in the sideways triangle on the end of the set currently highlighted NPC where we left off yesterday. Plug that sideways triangle into the front of the cast node. Plug the sideways triangle on the end of the cast node into the front of the set view target node.
What is get player character?
What?
Okay.
All right. So just make sure our wires are connected. And the last thing we want to do is, of course, set view target. It needs the new view target. That is going to be the thing on the cast node that says as third person character. So where it says as third person character, the blue bubble, drag that and plug it directly into the blue bubble on new view target. Once you've done that, also make sure blend time is set to 0.5 as well. Forgot to tell you that. If you don't put a blend time, it'll just be really abrupt. It'll just jump you back to the camera. So set the blend time to 0.5. That's half of a second as well. And yeah, hit play. And if I go over to this guy, boom, we zoom in. And if I leave, I get my camera back.
Can this be like this for certain areas?
What's that?
Can this be like this for certain areas?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like a really fun component that sort of starts our dialogue. And later on, by the way, if you're like, no, I only want dialogue to happen when the player presses E, we can kind of interrupt our code with that sort of setting. Say, hey, first, are you in the sphere? Good. If you're in the sphere and you have press E, boom, start the dialogue sequence. But right now, this is good. Let's hit escape. The next thing we want to do is get an actual widget, a menu, on screen to show the dialogue, the written things that the NPC is saying. We're going to do that by going to the front of Unreal. So we're now in the front of the editor, everybody. So you're out of your blueprints, you're in the front of the editor. I want you to click Add New, green button in the bottom left, Add New. Go to the category called User Interface, that's the bottom category, and choose Widget Blueprint. Name your widget blueprint, W_dialog. And then double click to open up that widget. DIALOGUE. All right, so you hit Add New, User Interface, Widget Blueprint, name the widget, W_dialog, double click on the widget, and now you're in your widget editor. Okay. Yep, Widget Blueprint, name it W_dialog, and double click to open it up. The next thing you're going to do, drag text from the palette onto your widget. Drag text on your widget and enlarge the text box that is kind of like how how big the text is, the box it's contained in, big enough so that it could fit a paragraph of writing, because maybe your NPCs have a lot to say. So we want to expand it and keep it towards the bottom middle.
Bottom middle or bottom left?
Bottom middle. This is for the words they're going to be saying. You can anchor it. I'm not anchoring mine. It's fine for now. But I do want you to write some sample text into here so we can kind of see what it's going to look like. I'm going to write some sample text. So I'm going to say, hello, Mr. Torres, because I'm playing my game. I have always wanted to meet you, but I didn't expect the man, capital M, to match the legend that I see before me. How wrong was I? Okay, and I hit enter, and now I've written my text that my dialogue is saying, but oh, we have a problem. The text continues off the screen as if it's on one line. Okay, your text is going to do this unless you check mark the setting auto wrap text. So everybody now with your box selected in the details panel, check mark auto wrap text. Once you check mark it, boom, you're all good. And it's going to keep it in a paragraph no matter what size that box is. All right, I want you to bring out another text. This time, this is going to be the text that is your NPC's name, right? We want to know who we're talking to. So this text will display the name of the NPC. You can put this in any corner. Just put it in one of the corners. I'm going to put mine in the top right, and this will be your NPC's name. Now, we're not going to write anything for this text. Instead, since we already have that information in a variable, we're going to do what's called binding. We're going to bind that text to a variable. In this case, the variable we made yesterday called NPC name. So now that you have your second piece of text, you put it in the corner somewhere. In the details panel on the right, look at where it says text, where you would normally write in some text. And this time, instead of writing in anything, next to it, I want you to click bind and then create binding. So with the text selected, click bind in the details panel, create binding next to text. What it's going to do is it's going to give you a little graph for putting in all the code that you need to put in order to grab that NPC's name and send it to your widget. First thing I want you to do, move this return node off to the side. We're going to need some room for the code. It's going to go here. And let's answer a few questions. Geez, long day. Let's answer a few questions. What is the variable we're trying to get? No, what is the variable we're trying to get? The variable that we're trying to get.
Widget?
Nope, it's not on the widget. Well, I heard someone say it. What is it? Say it louder. NPC name. NPC name. We're trying to get that, okay? Now, here's the problem. NPC name isn't just, we can't just look it up, right? It lives on something. What does NPC name live on? What type of blueprint? It lives on the NPC blueprint, okay? Now, let's say you got 50 NPCs in a whole city in your game, right? Which NPC do we want to get? Which NPC? No, we don't want all of them. We just want one, the one we're talking to, right? The one we're talking to, right? The one whose sphere we've overlapped. Well, remember we stored that in a variable on the third-person character. What is that variable called? We did that yesterday. Currently highlighted NPC. That's the variable we made yesterday. Currently highlighted NPC. It lives where? On what blueprint? On the third-person character, correct. So we need to get the third-person character. We need to ask third-person character for its currently highlighted NPC, and then we need to ask that currently highlighted NPC for its NPC name and plug that in the return value. All right, first step, right-click, type in get player character. Next step, drag off of get player character and cast to third-person character. Let's plug in a wire into our cast node. So drag the sideways triangle wire on get text into the front sideways triangle of cast, and then do the same coming off of cast over into return node. So we have our wires connected. Okay, I said we need to access a certain variable that lives on third-person character. Which variable is that? Nope, not yet. What variable lives on third-person character? Because that's what we're accessing currently. Currently highlighted NPC. So drag off of as third-person character and look up NPC. There it is, currently highlighted NPC. We're getting currently highlighted NPC. We're just asking for its information. We're not doing anything to it. We're just saying, hey, what's your currently highlighted NPC? Now we're going to drag off currently highlighted NPC. And what are we asking about the NPC? NPC name. Get NPC name. And NPC name is a text type. Return value is also a text type, which is why they're the same color. So plug in NPC name's pink circle into the pink circle on return value. Your code should look like something like mine.
What happens with more variables?
Nothing really happens, but yeah. All right, so this makes the widget up. Here's the thing, we haven't actually added the widget to the screen yet, so we never see this widget. So for that, we need to go to our NPC blueprint. So go back to your NPC blueprint. On our onBeginOverlap event, we're going to continue our code off of that. So in the very end of onBeginOverlap event, continuing off of this setViewTarget with blend, we want to make the widget show up on screen, right? So as soon as you enter this bubble, we're going to make the widget show up, the NPC you're talking to. And then when you leave the bubble, we want to make the widget go away. Okay, so that's what I code right now. Drag off of setViewTarget and type in create widget. Choose create widget. All right, for create widget, it's going to say select class. Click on that, it gives you a drop down. Click select class and choose the widget we made, in this case, W_dialog. Making a widget or a menu show up on screen is a two-step process. It begins with this one we just did, creating the widget, and the second one is actually adding it to the screen. So drag off return value and type in add to, and choose add to player screen. Should be create widget. It might say construct up until you change the select class. So make sure you choose select class so that it does that. What? Yeah, we're at the next part we're coding. So the issue is your widget always gets added, but it never gets taken away. We need to make sure so that the widget gets taken away on end overlap, right? Your player's done talking, he left the bubble, then we need to make the widget, the words the NPC are saying, go away. We're going to do that with a special node called remove from parent. We're going to do that now. Here's how you're going to do it. Drag a wire off of return value on the create widget. It's okay, there's already a wire going into it, that's fine. Drag a wire off return value and look up remove from parent. Choose remove from parent, okay? All right. The two things that Unreal Engine has between itself and child services would be, one, they both remove things from their parents. In this case, the parent is the screen, okay? So the widget was on screen, and then we removed it from the parent. So it's going to get rid of the widget. Drag a wire off of the, so we're going to continue this part off of the on-end overlap event. Drag a wire off the end of the setViewTarget from the end overlap code directly in the front of the remove from parent. That way, when we're done overlapping, we've left the bubble, the widget goes away. If you've done that, hit play and go up to an NPC. I'm going to go up to an NPC. Let's see, this guy, his name is Mr. Torres. And he says, hello, Mr. Torres. I've always wanted to meet you. but I didn't expect the man to match the legend that I see before me. How wrong was I, he says. Well, thank you, Mr. Torres. I have to go over here. We got Jacob's dad. He has the same thing to say. Wow, cool. Wow, not even about Jacob either, yeah. And then Steve Buscemi, popular celebrity, right? He also says the same thing. How awesome. So these guys are really cool NPCs. They're big fans of mine. Now you can see the one thing in our widget that's unique is the name of the NPC. Later on, like tomorrow or the time after that when we do this lesson, we'll start customizing the things that they say. So that different NPCs have different things to say, different greetings, and then eventually different topics that they can talk about. Possibly. Enumeration is a great option. I love using enums.